أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. قال الله تعالى في التنزيل العزيز بعد أن نقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد, as you may know, yesterday a teacher from a public school in Quebec was removed from her position as a grade 3 teacher. Her name is Aarij Anwer, and this happened in the city of Chelsea, Quebec, which is about 20 kilometers from Ottawa. And this teacher was a grade 3 homeroom teacher, and she is removed from her duties as a grade 3 homeroom teacher because her hijab, her appearance as a public Muslim, contravenes Bill 21 that has been passed as law in Quebec, which forbids wearing religious symbols in a public position. Religious symbols such as the hijab, the turban, and anything else that's similar. It prohibits that. It's a contradiction of the secular values of the Republic. That's what we're told. And this person, this sister, is the first teacher dismissed because of that. Now, interestingly, she was dismissed yesterday from her role, and because of the pressure that was put on the school by the school parents, not by the community, as in the Muslim community, not by the politicians, she was reassigned to another another role in the literacy department or something similar. But the fact remains, she was removed from her position because of the hijab. Because she's a Muslim and she chose to wear hijab, and that is why she was removed. This comes 6 months after. 6 months after our London family was murdered in cold blood on the streets here. When this happens, there is this sense of frustration, of disappointment, of anger, this mixture of emotions that we all feel. And I think it boils down to two things that we ask ourselves when we see these things happening in our country. Our country that we were told and that we knew was a tolerant country, that was all about diversity and inclusion and multiculturalism. When we see this happening again and again and again in Canada, it really makes us question and raises rather two questions in this situation. Question number one is, do we belong here? That's what we start to feel like. If we cannot exist as people, if you cannot walk down the street as people, if you cannot be in the public school as a good performing teacher, as Muslim people, then do we really belong here? That's the question we start to ask ourselves. And the second question is, do the people care for us? Do the people care for our suffering, our pain, the difficulties that are put upon us because of our faith? Does anybody care? The answer is, the people do care. The people do care. You saw the flowers that were literally completely, that covered the steps of the masjid. I saw so many people, dozens if not hundreds of people come and cry at the steps of the masjid. And the letters and the emails and the phone calls, too numerous. And in this situation, if you read the articles, you find the school parents and the little kids in grade 3 and grade 4 outraged at this oppression, at this travesty of justice. And they're the ones who are speaking out. And they're the ones who are putting pressure on the school. So yes, there are elements of our community, our Canadian community, that do care for us. And I would say that's a large number of people. And we thank Allah for that. And we are grateful to our neighbors for that they care for our suffering. But the question when we say is, do they care for us? We're asking our politicians. Do our politicians care enough for us? Are we important enough for them to do something about this? That's the question. And the answer so far, unfortunately, has been a resounding no. The Prime Minister has not even commented on this topic, on this issue, on his official Twitter feed. Has not even published a statement on it. That tells you the political cost of even saying something about this lady and the travesty that she's suffering is too high, even for the Prime Minister, unfortunately. And this is a Prime Minister. And this is a Prime Minister who has been supportive of the Muslims at almost all turns. This is not some person who is adverse or or who is an adversary to the Muslims. To the contrary, he's an ally. Yet he, despite being an ally, is unable to even utter a statement against the travesty done to Sister Fatima. Her dismissal that was unjust. That tells you the political cost of standing with the Muslims is too high. That tells you that we're not important enough. And that's a very frustrating and very, very disappointing feeling. It's not a pleasant feeling. We wouldn't wish it on any community, and we definitely don't want it for us. This, unfortunately, is the climate that you all live in, that we all live in. This is the climate our kids will go to school in. This is the climate they will grow up in. This is the climate your grandkids will grow up in. So it matters that we have to talk. It matters so much, and we have to talk about it. As unpleasant as it might be, it must be talked about. It must be. because it deeply, deeply affects us. It cuts to the core of the question. Is our belonging here? It comes to that point and asks us that very difficult question. That's why we must speak about this and talk about this. As things are, they're complicated. And I'm going to share with you 4 things that me and you can do. Because we can't just get angry and just get angry for the sake of getting angry and then not do anything afterwards. That's counterproductive. I'll leave with you 4 things, inshallah, that we can all internalize and do. And this is the least that we can do. This is the least. It matters to us. It matters to all of us. And it should matter to every Canadian equally. Here are the 4 things. Number 1 is we will not cower to fear. We will not change who we are. That's not going to happen. Our deen, the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba who we follow, when they were surrounded by an army that was larger than the number of civilians in Medina, in the battle of Ahzab, الذين قال لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم فزادهم إيمانا. The people that we follow, the people who we associate ourselves to, the people who we look up to, the people who we want to be like, when they were surrounded by an army that outnumbered them, not just the army but outnumbered the civilians, they were told, be afraid. They said, no, we're not afraid. We're not going to change. فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا. Their commitment to their iman became even stronger. Their commitment to who they are as Muslims became even stronger in the moment of difficulty. وَقَالُوا حَسْبُنَا اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. And they said, Allah will take care of us. He is the best of those who protects. He is the best disposer of affairs. He will be there to take care of us. We believe 100% Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not let us go to waste. So we will not change because our legacy is from the Sahaba. That's who they were. That's how we will be as well. We will not, because of fear, take off our hijab or leave our salah or abandon our masjids or stop doing what we do as Muslims. We will not do that. And that's the first and very important thing in our minds that has to be clear. This kind of pressure should not force us to bend and break. Rather, it should make us stronger. Just like pressure that forces, coal turns it into diamond. That is what I'm referring to. We will turn to diamonds because of this pressure that's being put on us. Number 2, we will remain optimistic. We will remain optimistic and hopeful. As pessimistic as situation might be, as disappointing and as frustrating as it might be, we as believers will remain hopeful. This is our aqeedah. This is part of our aqeedah to be optimistic. How so? The Prophet ﷺ teaches us that you say Alhamdulillahi ala kulli hal. We say Alhamdulillah and all circumstances. What does Alhamdulillah mean? All praises are for Allah. All praise, all thanks are for Allah. Meaning, even in the most difficult times, even in times where it doesn't seem like there's anything to be thankful for, it seems like everything is going wrong, in those times we say all praise and thanks is for Allah. Because we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bring better times. That's why we're saying it. And we know the bad times now are because He allowed it as a test. And we will pass that test by being thankful to Him. It's part of our aqeedah to be optimistic. The Prophet ﷺ taught us that if you are about to see the day of judgment start, meaning time on the world has run out, وَفِي يَدِ أَحَدِكُمْ فَسِيلًا فَإِنِ اسْتَطَاعَ أَن يَغْرِسَهَا فَلْيَغْرِسْهَا. If you have a seedling in your hand and you can plant it before the start of the day of judgment, then plant it. Even if that plant will never grow up and will never bear fruit, as a believer we're always optimistic, we're always doing whatever we can, as much as we can, for as long as we can, even if the time on the world is about to run out. That is what our deen teaches. That's what the sunnah teaches us. We are never to be those of those who lose hope. وَلَا تَيْأَسُوا مِنْ رَوْحِ اللَّهِ. Don't ever lose hope in the mercy of Allah. إِنَّهُ لَا يَيْأَسُ مِنْ رَوْحِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. Those who don't know who Allah is, those who reject who Allah is, they are the ones who lose hope in His mercy. They're the ones who become pessimistic. But we as believers, our aqeedah teaches us to never ever do that. So we will not, because of dark times, become dark people. We will remain hopeful. We will remain those who will know that Allah will bring change eventually, because He is the one in charge. Number 3 is we will remain patient. This is a long battle. This is not a short thing. Things don't change overnight. Rarely, seldom do they change overnight. Sentiment shifts in stages. It's not too long ago that it was, political suicide for people to say Islamophobia. It was, for many people, it would have been just completely, they would have been kicked out of their party if they had said so. But now, alhamdulillah, things have progressed a little bit. Sometimes, quite often in fact, it takes time for change to take place. We have to remain patient. Our deen teaches us that. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Those who are standing up for the truth, persisting on it. Tawasi is actually, Al-Qurtubi says, it is a nasiha bil-hub. It is giving advice with love. Meaning, you are standing up for what's right in the best possible way. In the best possible way. So we continue to stand up, but we also, the Quran tells us, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. It's not just going to be an instant change. It will take time. You have to play the long game. And we as a community have to learn that. All of us as individuals have to understand that. It's going to take time. We will remain patient. And lastly, number 4 is we will keep on fighting. We will not stop. We will keep sending emails. We will keep tweeting. We will keep sharing on Facebook. We will do whatever little we can as individuals, because every little thing we do adds up as a community. If you were to send an email to your MP, your elected official or MPP, you may think my email means nothing. I'm going to get an automated reply. But if everybody does it, in this hall, that's 150 emails. The inbox will be flooded. They will think this is a crisis because all these people are emailing. This is how anybody who is in a public position, that's how they perceive sentiment. That's how sentiment is viewed. When you start to hear about something from not just one person, but a whole bunch of people, and they're all saying roughly the same thing, it creates a sense of urgency. That's my point. When we do things together as a community, it will create a sense of urgency in the people who are elected to represent us. This is being a responsible civilian. This is what is called doing our part. We will do all of that. Whenever there is a chance, whenever there is a call from NCCM or anybody else, from the masjid, from Hikmah, whoever it is that's asking you as a Muslim community member to say something, to email someone, to tweet something, do it. Wallahi, that's the least you can do. That's the least that I can do. أقول ما تسمعون واستغفر الله لي ولكم واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه وموالاه أما بعد إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد في الأولين وفي الآخرين وصل على محمد في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين اللهم أحينا على سنته ومتنا على ملته واحشرنا في زمرته واسقنا من حوضه يا رب العالمين اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين اللهم عليك بالظالمين فإنهم لا يعجزونك يعجزونك اللهم عليك بالظالمين فإنهم لا يعجزونك اللهم عليك بالظالمين فإنهم لا يعجزونك وقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
استووا استقيموا تراصوا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه وما بعد. This Friday, today, today we have a very special program after Isha. We have a open mic session with the London Imams, which is all of the Imams of London will be here, alhamdulillah, after Isha. and they will be here with you sharing some of their thoughts and for you to ask questions. And they have a special announcement also to make, so I hope that you all join us. All of the Imams from the city, Sheikh Adnan, Dr. Munir, Sheikh Abdul Fattah, Dr. Sheikh Abdul Kareem, and Dr. Ihab, all of us will be here. So please do join us after Isha tonight at 8 p.m. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.